real quick. I'm out doing my little schlooks run, but I had to release a word today. Um, that God actually gave me. Holy Spirit downloaded in my spirit yesterday. So I was talking to a friend of mine about being compromised because he didn't really understand what it meant for people to be compromised. And so I was explaining to him how sometimes we enter into these covenants or agreements um, with things that are not of God. And we had got on the subject of being compromised and people being compromised because we were talking about isolation. And so I've been going through periods of isolation in and off. And so God, I actually, so I got, something was exposed to me yesterday. And I was so wowed by the whole thing, right? So when I got the revelation about it, I said, but I know this person as a person that serves and a person that prays and a person that intercedes and a person that reads. And the Holy Spirit was like, yes, but sometimes people can be compromised by association. So I really didn't understand it. And so what he meant by that was liking it as into, like, say I was talking to my mother about what's going on and what God was doing in my life and um, the promises that God made for me. And even though my mom is like a person who serves God and yada, 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 she could take that same word that I gave her and tell it to someone that she talked to on a daily. So maybe she have a her friend or her siblings or cousin, whoever she's close to, and that person is one of the people that you wouldn't expose your promise to because you know they're a compromise. But because your mom, my mom, and her cousin are close, things that they discuss and no, with no intention of harming me could compromise God's vision for me. And so, say for instance, I'm like, oh Lord, I'm believing God for a new business, and God said that He was gonna give me a new business, and my mom was like, yeah, she's just praying to God for a new business, and then her cousin's like, well, I don't think she should do that. I don't think that's gonna work. Yada yada yada. And what the cousin is doing is speaking death on something God promised, and not intentionally, but because it was discussed, and not that it's gonna kill God promise, because God promise is gonna come through um, if your faith is on it. But if God is telling you to be quiet around certain people, that's the reason for it. If God is saying don't even tell your mom what we got going on. If God is saying be quiet around these people, and you're like, but God, I trust these people. Always trust God, because it's everything He do is intentional, and whether He exposed it to you or not, you're not waiting on God's exposure. You're being obedient, and hopefully the exposure will come. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. You don't have to. God don't have to prove anything to you. But if He's saying be quiet around certain people, if He's saying quit telling your mom everything, because your mom is just telling her cousin things, and just because her and her cousin are close and they're just talking, and I'm just using this as an example, but they're speaking death, not knowing that they're speaking death on a promise of mine, but that sometimes words of death can cause delay. You don't want delay. So my whole point of this is getting dark. Trust God and be obedient, because the things that everything he do is intentional, and isolation is not punishment. And if he's telling you to be quiet about the things that he spoke to you in private, why is that hard? Even because you trust somebody, just because you trust somebody and they seem good around you, you have no idea what they do when you're not around. But he do. Have a good night.